Ceann, I want to ask the Taoiseach about what steps the government are taking, if any, to try and bring about a resolution of the dispute. This is a very serious dispute. It's serious, first of all, because of the numbers of electricians who are involved in the dispute and the numbers of sites and other employments that are now directly affected by it. And it is also serious because of the knock-on effect and potential knock-on effect of the dispute into the wider economy. Now, as the Taoiseach said, there is a voluntary system of industrial relations. The problem, however, is that the nature of this particular dispute and the complexity of the issues that are involved and the degree to which the industrial relations issues that are in dispute are crisscrossing with legal challenges and so on, is that it is in many respects quite an unusual dispute. Now, I want to put two questions to you, Taoiseach. The first is that the government itself, in particular the Taoiseach as Minister for Enterprise and Employment, has powers under the Industrial Relations Act of 1990 to cause either the Labour Court or the Labour Relations Commission to intervene in this dispute. Under Section 38 of the Industrial Relations Act, where a dispute affects the public interest, as I believe this one clearly does, the Taoiseach has the power to ask the Labour Court to intervene directly. Or secondly, where the dispute is of special importance, she has the power to appoint the Labour Court or indeed some other body to inquire into the dispute and to make a report to her. Now, it seems to me that this is the kind of dispute where those type of power, which were envisaged by the Industrial Relations Act of 1990, this type of situation was what those powers were for, and I would ask you if it is intended that those powers will be used to bring the parties together. There is clearly, what we've heard on the airwaves, quite a degree of disagreement between the parties in the dispute. When the dispute happens, that's what happens, and sometimes the longer the dispute goes on, the more entrenched those become. So I think it's in everybody's interest that that type of intervention is made sooner rather than later. Secondly, there have been problems, as you know, with registered employment agreements. You mentioned the court challenge which was taken by some electrical contractors in relation to this particular registered employment agreement. There have also been other court challenges, particularly in relation to the hotel industry, in connection with the Joint Labour Committee system. Now, the government promised that it would bring in legislation to modernise the Joint Labour Committee system and the registered employment agreement systems, because we've been all hearing of difficulties that are arising, not just here in the respect of electricians, but in respect of hotels, catering, security, a number of industries that are covered by these registered employment agreement. That legislation has been promised for some time, and it doesn't appear to have been advanced. And you might indicate when you're replying when that is going to be progressed. Well, I accept that I accept generally speaking that government and the minister should not be intervening in every industrial dispute that arises, and that it is a question of judgment as to when that intervention should take place. And normally, where there's a dispute and one employer is involved, the type of approach that you have outlined, Taoiseach, I think is the appropriate one to take. But I think in this particular case, because of the extent of the dispute, because of the degree to which it is involving not just the employers and contractors who are directly involved with it, but where it has knock-on effects for other employments and for the wider economy, I think it is appropriate that the government would underline the seriousness with which it is taking the dispute, and also underline the urgency that government should be giving to having this dispute resolved by using the powers that are available under the Industrial Relations Act to bring people together. I mean, where you're in a situation where people are, for whatever reason, not talking to each other, not terribly willing to talk to each other, we don't know how long that is likely to go on for. Sometimes, as I said, when a dispute goes on a bit, positions become a bit more entrenched and things are said that are difficult to resile from, and there are others who are only perhaps too willing to throw some oil on troubled waters. In those circumstances, there is a necessity for somebody to knock heads together. And I would respectfully suggest that this is one of those occasions where government, through the Taoiseach, should use the services of the Labour Court, or cause the services of the Labour Court or the Labour Relations Commission to be used to knock heads together and to try and get an early settlement of this dispute. This dispute is going to be settled eventually. And it will be settled by people sitting down and talking to each other and working out the complexities of the issues involved and agreeing a settlement. And it is better that that settlement of the dispute is secured early rather than later, in order to minimise the damage that a prolonged dispute will do both to the people who are in dispute, their employers and the wider economy.